Hello, this is Rico Caviglia, and welcome to this episode of Fearless Aging, where in every episode, my guests and I, we strive to offer you proven tips and strategies that you can implement immediately to greatly improve your overall health and well-being. So we're here to inspire you and empower you to become your best self so you can go out and make a bigger positive difference in the world. So today's episode, I'm real excited about. Is, is, I'm going to be interviewing John Gray. And John Gray is the author of the most well known and trusted relationship book of all time, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And USA Today listed his book as one of the top 10 most influential books of the last quarter century. In hardcover, it was the number one best-selling book of the 1990s. Dr. Gray's books are translated into approximately 45 languages in more than 100 countries and continue to be a bestseller. He's written over 20 books, and his most recent book, which we'll talk about today, and also we're going to talk about some really practical ways that you can reduce stress, which is really important. His latest book is Beyond Mars and Venus, Relationship Skills for Our Complex Modern World. So, John Gray, thanks so much for being here.
A real pleasure to be with you again. Thank you, Rico.
Yeah, thank you. So, well, I mean, you're pretty well known, so we don't have to talk really about what you're doing, who you are, what you've been doing. So let's just get right into it and tell us about your new book. And I know you mentioned that you got some new ideas and some things to help people reduce stress, which is so important, not just for relationships, for all your life.
Yeah, and particularly as we get older, one of the things that causes most sickness, disease, or aging is how we manage stress effectively. And what I do in this more recent book, people know Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus is very popular. It's still a very, very helpful book for people. But what I found in the modern world, as we've always been in the modern world, I've been alive, but ever since the new millennium, things have really changed a lot with the internet and with the independence that women have, not feeling so dependent on men for finances. And so as women are sort of running big parts of the world today, that changes your hormones. Now, already, if you're a woman and you go through menopause, there's a natural change that takes place, which is, and let's talk about, let's say, the ideal aging process for a woman for a moment. The ideal aging process for a woman is that when she's a younger woman and she's cycling, that her stress levels are low. And what does it mean to have your stress levels low? Stress, things are happening around you all the time. We live in a stressful world, or how we look at it. I can, if depending on my mood, I look at the world and I can say, oh, it's so stressful. And then I go, actually, it's not so bad at all. It's what glasses we're wearing. And what controls our glasses, so to speak, our attitude, the way we interpret things, where our attention goes, to a great extent is the mind, but the mind dramatically affects the hormones. And then the hormones dramatically affect the way the mind thinks. Okay, so what it turns out to be that whenever a woman is producing the hormone of adrenaline or cortisol, these are our stress hormones. Whenever a woman is making stress hormones, her estrogen levels are too low in relationship to her testosterone levels. Now, testosterone is what we typically say, any of the activities that would produce testosterone, we would call masculine. Okay, so it's if there's danger and you're going to save the day, testosterone goes up. If there's a problem and you're trying to solve the problem, testosterone goes up. If you're a woman and you're the CEO of the house, that's called mother, your testosterone goes up. And if her testosterone goes up too high and her estrogen doesn't go up as well, she will experience stress. So anytime a woman is producing stress hormones, in most cases, there's always little exceptions that go into the fine details, but generally speaking, whenever a woman is producing stress hormones, her female hormones are not in balance and her masculine hormones are too dominant. So what that would look like is that her estrogen levels, when she's cycling on the way towards ovulation, her estrogen levels will be too low. Whenever her estrogen levels are too low, she has stress hormones. And at that time, her testosterone levels will be too high. So we look at this in terms of kind of a yin-yang idea. We all have a masculine and a feminine side. And women will produce, and we have the masculine and feminine hormones, which is the testosterone is the masculine hormone. Because whenever you're doing any jobs which are dangerous, dirty, difficult, hard, or require sacrifice, as opposed to doing what you would like, doing what you love to do, doing what you enjoy doing what makes you happy, those are all linked to our female hormones. When you feel safe, relaxed, at ease, joyful, female hormones. When you're feeling, I got a job to do, have to get it done, I've got a deadline, I'm making a decision, that's your male hormones. Mm-hmm. So I give you an example of some of these guys. I was listening to Joe Rogan recently, and he gets these guys that are like super athletes. And one of the super athletes he was saying, what's your routine in the morning? And he said, I get up at like 5 o'clock every morning and I do my long run. I do swimming. I do my cold plunge, this extreme 2-hour workout in the morning. And Joe says to him, and do you love it? He says, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But when I'm done, nothing could upset me. I feel fantastic. Okay. So you would choose your suffering and then you can fully relax, so to speak. That's a big testosterone producer. Whenever you do something that is what's necessary to achieve a goal, whether you like it or not. Mm-hmm. And that's always been the male role, typically. It was like men were like, let me do the difficult stuff so you can be happy. Let me take on what's most suffering so you can be happy. Because we have a biology that supports that. Whenever you're making a sacrifice, not feeling resentful about it, but, hey, I want to make money. I choose to do what I have to do to make money. So I'm not resenting it unless I don't get paid. So that whole idea of having a goal and doing what you have to do to achieve the goal is a big testosterone producer. That's why the men listening, Rico, if they retire and they stop working, getting up every day because you have to, because other people are depending on you. At a certain point, you have enough money. Maybe you don't have to make money, but other people depend on you. That's important, where you have this feeling of, I have to do something. Mm-hmm. I'm choosing it, but I have to do it. That's a big testosterone producer. Now, if you look at women when they're stressed, almost always they will say to me as a therapist, I have so much I have to do. I do everything. I do this and I do this and I do this and I do it all by myself. I have no help. That's major. Those are the words that go along with high testosterone in a woman, but low estrogen. See, if I talk about, I did everything today, and then I can come home and completely relax and what a great day. I did all that. Whereas for women, it's more of a complaint. Look what I've done. I had to do this and I had to do this. So we have this dynamic of looking at the actual charts of men and women when they're still cycling, and then we'll get to when you stop beyond menopause. Okay. So we have to understand the foundation. So typically speaking, on the charts of what's normal estrogen levels for a woman, it's 10 times more than a man. And when it drops down in relationship to the man's, her stress levels will also be higher and higher. So there's a relationship there of estrogen going down, testosterone going up. Now, psychologically, we can understand that because what stimulates estrogen in your body is relationship where you're depending on someone for something of value. So like a woman comes to me for counseling, already her estrogen levels go up. A woman goes to a doctor for medical advice. If she trusts the doctor, she can depend on the advice she's getting. Her estrogen goes up. So this is like really important for women. This is why men typically don't go to doctors until they have to. Okay, so women are like, they go to the doctor again and again, because they're in a relationship where they can depend on someone for something they can't do for themselves. Now think about what romance is. And romance is, again, a major estrogen stimulator, because typically for a woman, we know romance leads to sex, sex leads to orgasm. When a woman has an orgasm, her estrogen levels have to be 20 times higher than the average man. So it has to go up. So what allows it to go higher is we create these circumstances which will help a woman's estrogen go higher. So rather than cook her own meal, you take her to a restaurant and someone else cooks the meal. So this is something she can do for herself. Women can do everything, but she doesn't have to do it. Anytime you put a woman in a situation where she doesn't have to do things, she can start to break the pattern of stress, because this pattern for stress is this feeling of overwhelm. I have no support. I have not enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough love. I don't have enough. It's not enough. And literally, it's not enough estrogen being produced in her body. Okay. Or when she's cycling after ovulation, she also needs to be making progesterone. And progesterone, in my research and some of the research out there, shows that progesterone tends to get produced when a woman is two types of women experience differently. If you're more of an extrovert, progesterone gets produced when you're social bonding, okay, spending time with other people. You're not working, okay, you're not trying to solve problems. You could be playing cards together, you could be making a dinner together, you could be talking together, playing pickleball together, whatever it is. Then her progesterone will get produced. But if she was playing pickleball for money in a competition, she'd be making testosterone. You see the difference? So there's I have to really work at this. The attachment to the outcome is a big key aspect of testosterone. I gotta do this to achieve my goal.
Well, let me ask you, okay, so for a woman, say, who's a woman who's like a CEO these days, as you mentioned, there's so many people in positions of authority and power these days. And so if they have to make some great decisions, like mostly male have done in the past, and because they have the high level of testosterone, so what should women do in order to boost their testosterone in that situation when they know they have to step up and make these big decisions?
Oh, it's so easy for women to make testosterone. It's the easiest thing. It's the hard thing for women is when they're making decisions, just the fact I have to make decisions, she'll make testosterone. That doesn't cause stress. What causes stress for women is in that situation, it's up to her and she doesn't feel backup. She doesn't feel support.
Okay.
She doesn't have, that's the whole point of the more entrepreneur you are, the more independent you are, the more an authority you are, the more testosterone you will naturally make. But that's not what she needs to be making. I mean, to make those decisions, to be in that situation, testosterone is not a bad hormone for her as long as it's balanced with her female hormones. That's the key. So the good news is she doesn't have to stop being the boss or whatever. It doesn't have to be the CEO. Any job where you're making money, okay, any job where you're making money is going to be producing testosterone, because you're not doing it because you love your kids. You're not doing it because you're having a Christmas party. You're doing it to make money. So when you do anything to make money, you're putting other people ahead of yourself. You're doing what has to be done. Remember the word have to. I have to do this in order to achieve this goal. Now, when I talk about men saying I have to, it's not the same thing. It's not like, I have to be on board to do this interview. I don't feel like I'm sacrificing anything because my goal is to do the best interview I can. So what do I have to do? I have to be on it. So there's not this feeling of that women have when they have this burden of, I have to do this and I have to do this. That is a really negative pattern their brain gets into when their hormones are out of balance. And it becomes like a snowball. Once she gets into I have to, it's hard to stop it. It becomes a pattern. So what I write about in this book is pattern interrupts. It doesn't take a lot to interrupt that, just to stop the snowball from going down the hill, so to speak.
Say, John, we're going to take we have a new sponsor for our show. We're going to take a quick 60-minute a commercial for them. It's about our Cafe Pure healthy coffee. And then when we come back, we'll finish up on that topic and we'll get more into your book. And then you can tell people about, I know you have some great free trainings and on your website and how they can get a copy of your book. So we're gonna play a quick little video here about the cafe. try a sample pack of low-acid, healthy Cafe Pure coffee with a 25% discount, go to livepure.com/ageless coffee and click on Cafe Pure at the top, and you can order your sample coffee. And I'm quite sure you're going to love it. All right, we're back with John Gray. I just want to say, John, you might want to try this coffee. It has no acid in it. It has cordyceps mushrooms, which really good enhances your immune system and your brain focus. It tastes really good as well.
I'm a big fan of coffee. I'm a big fan of cordyceps. Cordyceps is a very powerful mushroom and endurance and strength. I'm really into supplements. I used to have a health food store online with 40 different products. Now I just have one that I recommend because so many other geek people are there, but most people don't recommend this one because the pharmaceutical industry. I'm going to have my dog stop. Sit. Sit. Okay. She got all that music, got her all excited and coffee. She got a caffeine rush, I guess. So what was I just talking about? Was the focus was
about your new product.
Oh, yeah. Well, I had a health food store, and one product that people don't market and promote, there's so many good people that promote things now. I don't do it. But it's lithium orotate. Okay. And it's the most powerful substance I know known to help lower stress levels and balance hormones. It's very cheap. It's inexpensive. The pharmaceutical industry, if you live in any other country, you can't buy it. It's illegal. It's only legal in America because pharmaceutical industries don't have that as much control. We have a big, strong health food market here. There's no side effects of it. Psychiatrists used to give for people who are bipolar or depressed. If you go high, then low. And if you have highs and lows and you take lithium orotate, you'll notice it within a day taking it. If you don't have highs and lows, you won't notice so much. But lithium itself has been proven to regenerate brain cells. And it's really important because, you have an audience that wants to live longer and be healthier. Right. One of the things proven with lithium is that it will multiply your brain cells. At least they've proven it in a petri dish. They put it in a petri dish, you just start getting more brain cells. That regenerates them. It also balances dopamine and serotonin levels in the brain. The other most important thing that I take the most important elements, another one is more protein. Our biggest risk as we're getting older, it's not just we need to move our bodies for sure, but you've got to put more protein in your body. To the extent that as women's estrogen levels have dropped. Now that's natural. When you go through menopause, it's natural for your estrogen levels to drop. But if you have adrenal fatigue, your adrenal gland will now produce that estrogen for women. It doesn't have to be as high when you were young. You can be still orgasmic as a woman as long as your estrogen levels don't in relationship to your testosterone. So the easiest thing for women, and for any woman to fall into this trap is as you become more confident in life experience, you get a little jaded by life. You feel like, well, I can't depend on anyone. It's just easier to do things yourself, right? It's just like, get it done myself. Well, it's so when you don't feel support in your life and you're a woman, it's so easy just to go over and go, I'll just do it myself. The flip side for men, and then they make more testosterone. They don't make as much estrogen, and they find that they have high stress levels, even though they're getting things done because they're doing it. So one of the basic skills, I'll come back to supplements in a moment, but one of the basic skills is talking. For women, talking is such an important thing, and having someone listen. Talking and listening, or journaling and listening to yourself, or pray and listen, like God listened to you. And in those things, very, very important. Talking is the most powerful estrogen stimulator for women. Now that's at one level. The double it, triple it is to feel the emotions that are inside, whether they're positive emotions or negative emotions. And I focus a lot on negative emotions because that's usually what everybody pushes down. Mm-hmm. You can't fully feel alive unless you feel both your positive emotions and your negative emotions. Mm-hmm. So for women, and this is particularly true for women, partially true for men, women need to do it a lot more than men. I need estrogen as a man too. There's no doubt about it. But I don't need 10 times more or 20 times more like women. So for women, having somebody you can talk to about every day, have somebody you can talk to about what happened that day and how it made you feel. That's the whole basis of therapy is what's going on in your life. How does it make you feel? And ideally, how do you feel emotionally? and then move from one emotion to another. In all my books, in this book, I have processing techniques to process your emotions. You see, there's nothing closer to your soul than your emotions. Think about a child who doesn't have the brain developed to get in the way of light shining through. The liveness in little children, that's why we like to be around them. And it's good to be around them for that reason, because we resonate. But when you have children, they're just so right in touch with their emotions of joy and wonder or sadness and fear, scare. All that emotion is like right next to the soul. And as children, that gets pushed down. Our life gets pushed down. If we want to connect back to the life force inside of us, then we have to touch into those emotions. You can't dispute emotions. You can have the feeling nobody likes me. That's what you feel. It's like a fact. That's what you're thinking. I can't say, hey, but people do like you. Nope, that's how I feel. Nobody likes me. And don't tell me how to feel, because that's how I feel. Okay, it's a mental thing when people say I feel like, or I feel that. But when you get to an emotion, or I feel that, when that person ignored me, it makes me frustrated or disappointed or sad or afraid or ashamed or feel bad or feel embarrassed. So I explore the most healing, powerful emotions to bring aliveness. But emotion is what gives us our connection to the regenerative power in the body. Children heal so quickly in the brain. It's so powerful. If you connect back to the emotion, would bring you back to your soul. So for women particularly, and why we men need women in our lives is that their emotions. When a woman has emotions, we can connect with their emotions. Why we like little children is that we can see the world through their eyes and feel the tender feelings that they have. It's very important to be around children, and for men to be around women. And for women to have men who can listen to them, if you can find one. And what men have to learn is how to listen, and not talk so much about their feelings. As men get older, naturally, their estrogen levels get really high and their testosterone levels go too low. So then men become all talkative. Women are not so talkative.
That's true.
And if a man wants to keep his testosterone high, I'm now 73 years old. My testosterone levels are higher than when I was a young man, because I made it my life mission to understand hormones and understanding that whenever a man talks about negative emotions, his estrogen goes higher, his testosterone goes down. Whenever, there's a saying about older men, grumpy old men. We get rigid, we get grumpy. That's because our estrogen's too high. When a man is angry, his estrogen is too high. Usually it's retirement is really death for men, because then your testosterone goes low, your estrogen goes high. And you kind of say, hey, now I get to do whatever I like to do. I get to do what I want to do. That's estrogen stimulating. We need some estrogen for sure, but we have to balance it always by a job I have to do that other people depend on me for. It doesn't have to be rigorous.
It's always everything's about balance, isn't it?
That's it.
Balance in every aspect of your life. Well, John, we only have about 2 minutes left. So talk a little bit about what people can find on your website.
Okay, so that's a good thing. Men learn to listen, women to share. At my website, go to marsvenus.com, go to the top of the page for men or for women. It will teach you all about lithium orotate, a powerful non-toxic substance with a bunch of things like cordyceps in it as well, all kinds of bacopa, ashwagandha. It's a real stress reducer if people are interested in that. At the bottom of the page, there's a place that says contact us, and you can go to a page, and if you want free coaching on how to be healthier, we have free coaching for that. What I have a whole program for is older, we lose muscle mass. So what we need is how to increase our muscle mass by amping up the protein. So there's a particular product through New Zealand that we get, which people are interested in. It's cold processed, it's high protein, grass fed, and there's enzymes in it. You take the protein, the enzymes, you put it in warm water, it digests it for you, and your brain feels fantastic. Because as we get older, we lose our ability to digest our foods efficiently. So this is a replacement to give us the best protein to build muscle mass very quickly. You'll notice it will happen.
Very good. Yeah, we'll definitely put how to contact you in the show description. So we only have about a minute left. So tell us, what's the number one thing that women should do to balance their hormones, and what's the number one thing men should do?
Number one thing for men is make sure that you don't complain. Just don't complain. Do not complain. And if you feel like complaining and your wife they always say to you, well, what are you feeling? What are you feeling? You say, I'm in my cave right now. Can't talk. I'm in my cave right now. Can't talk. I even say to my wife, it's written in my book, honey. Read in the book. Men need time to not talk. Okay. It's in my cave. So, because they want to try to make you into a woman. They want to get those feelings out.
Right.
I'm in my cave. Because if you can take time to forget your problems.
And how about for women now?
Make sure she talks. And when you talk, say to your husband, I'm going to talk for 10 minutes. Don't interrupt me. Just ask questions. That's all. Or say nothing. I just need to get it out. I want you to give me a big hug afterwards. And I promise I'm not going to complain about you. I'll complain about other things in my life. I'm going to share frustrations, disappointments, concerns, and worries, but it's not about you because it's not your fault. If you can say that to a man, he can listen to you all day, but really 10 minutes is enough every day.
John, thank you so much. That's great information. Thanks very much for being here. So if you like today's episode, go out and tell people to check out the Fearless Aging podcast.